I assume by now most of you have seen the documentary and the film that we have been showing, a lot of our promos and earlier today. You're going to get to meet the man behind the scenes, the producer of that documentary, Nathan Crane. He's an award-winning author, inspirational speaker, plant-based athlete, #1 in Amazon, best-selling, 20-time award-winning documentary filmmaker. And we have him on today. He's the founder of the Panacea community, the creator of the Global Cancer Symposium. He's the host of Conquering Cancer Summit, the director and the producer of the documentary film Cancer, the Integrative Perspective. That's the one that we were showing you the trailer for. And that, Nathan's got a very interesting story. In 2005, at 18 years old, he began his health and healing spiritual journey, eventually overcoming a decade of brutal teenage addiction. He even had house arrest, jail, challenging times of homelessness. And he's gone on to become an international author, filmmaker, and speaker dedicated to health, healing, and conscious awakening. Nathan's received numerous awards for his contribution to health and healing, personal development, including the accolade Film Competition 2020 Outstanding Achievement Humanitarian Award, the Outstanding Community Service Award, California Senate for his work in education and empowerment with natural and integrative methods for healing cancer. I mean, this is some serious conversations we're going to have here in a minute. With 15 years in health and wellness field, Nathan has reached millions of people around the world with his inspiring messages of hope, healing, and transformation. And we are so fortunate to have him on as one of our guests today. So help me welcome the great Nathan Crane. There he is. Welcome, Nathan.
Hey, Bob. Thanks so much for having me. Really happy to be here.
We are thrilled to have you on here. I can't wait to dig into this and pick your brain a little bit. We've been talking about health and wellness all week long, and then like the final stages of health and wellness, or the anti-health and wellness would be the ultimate cancer. And I think you and I were talking about every year that All-Star Game does the Stand Up for Cancer. And when they first started it, maybe 10% of the people in the audience had a sign up of somebody they knew that had cancer. This year, it was like 99% of the people in the audience, a stadium full. So in the last 5 or 6 years since they started doing that, we could just see the trend, the growth in the cancer, unfortunately. So it affects everybody. If you don't have it, somebody that's had it or somebody that's recovering from it. So it's a really, really important topic. And we're so thankful that you took some time out of your schedule to join us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. It's my honor. I mean, this is my passion. I've been dedicated to the health field for the past 15 years, having overcome my own health challenges and homelessness and addiction and all kinds of things growing up. Right. And I know what it's like to be sick. I know what it's like to be lost. I know what it's like to be mentally and emotionally distraught and traumatized. I know what it's like to not have energy and vitality and to have all kinds of health issues. And nobody wants that. Nobody wakes up and says, hey, today, I hope I get sick today. Today, I hope I have a cancer diagnosis. Today, I want to feel lethargic and feel horrible. And, we don't wish for that, right? We all want to feel healthy and vital and energetic and feel good about ourselves and not have a cancer diagnosis. The reality is, even if you're on a healthy path, there are a lot of people who think they're doing everything right. And they think that, oh, my diet's clean, I'm exercising, I'm doing everything right, and I still got cancer. Or, my best friend's dad, he ran marathons and he was, so healthy. And in his 40s, he had a cancer diagnosis and he passed away, 2 years later. And I think, and what happens is, because unfortunately the oncologists are not trained in what actually causes cancer, and they're not trained in natural holistic approaches to preventing cancer in the first place or healing cancer. What happens is we have this kind of subconscious programming that, oh, cancer is just this random thing that you catch, you get, we don't really know what causes it. We know maybe smoking and too much sun. And that's what most people tend to think about. Or if it's in your genetics, then you may get cancer. You could do everything right and you're still going to get cancer. And I'm here to tell everybody that premise is completely false. And we do know what causes cancer. We do know how to prevent cancer. And we do know that genetics actually has almost nothing to do with causing cancer. And so, we'll get into, I know this is kind of groundbreaking for a lot of people because most people just don't know this information. I didn't know this information. I mean, I was going through my own health challenges and health crises and getting my own life back on track and, becoming healthier than I'd ever been. And then my grandpa was diagnosed with cancer. And I realized, I didn't know anything about cancer. And I watched him go through chemotherapy and radiation, and in a very short period of time, go from being somewhat active to basically, so much pain, losing his hair, couldn't walk to the bathroom, and then passing away. And that just sent me on this mission to learn everything I possibly could about cancer. And now, thousands of hours of research and experimentation and hundreds of interviews with the top experts and cancer conquerors in the world, I now understand a lot more about cancer than I ever did before. And I kind of feel like it's my mission to share this information with as many people as possible, because when you understand this, you become empowered and you realize, wow, I really can prevent cancer. Wow, I really could reverse cancer. Wow, there are so many things that I didn't know about it that I now know that I can take back control of my health. I look at cancer like this. It's like the pinnacle of basically ultimate unhealthy lifestyle. And someone goes, well, I don't live an unhealthy lifestyle. How do I get cancer? Well, we'll get into that. We'll get into the causes. And when you understand the causes, I can guarantee you'll find something in there. You go, oh, that's what it is. That's what I have not been doing. Right. And it's almost never just one thing. It's almost never just, oh, I was in Fukushima for 2 years and I got cancer. Yes, that happens. Yes, there's a massive radiation exposure, but I say almost never. It's almost never just one thing, because it's really rare. It's really rare that you're going to go be in Japan next to Fukushima and all this radiation for 2 years, right? Some people that's happening to, but it's very rare. The majority, I'd say 99% of cancer cases out there, if I were going to estimate, have more than one cause that has been contributing to that cancer forming in the body over years. Cancer doesn't show up overnight. It takes years. We know on average, the average cancer takes about 7 years to show up, on a PET scan, for example. So, and many people have been contributing to cancer in their bodies for decades before they even know they have cancer. So we know it takes time to form in the body. We know that there are very well-known causes that unfortunately most medical doctors, most oncologists, certainly not the mainstream media knows about, most pharmaceutical companies don't know or don't care about. The reality is majority of our current civilization is just in the dark about this. And so, I feel it's my duty, as I've learned all this information, to literally just share it with as many people as possible to empower you to take back control of your health. One, to prevent cancer if you don't have cancer already. And two, to give you the best fighting chance to reverse cancer using a more holistic approach that's not going to damage your mind or body worse.
Yeah, and that is truly groundbreaking, and what a mission you're being called for here. People don't realize that there's alternative ways of getting rid of cancer too, because the minute you hear the diagnosis, you think radiation and chemo, and here I go. That's what everybody thinks right away, is I got to burn this out of me right away. And now coming off of the lockdowns for the last 15, 16 months, people's bodies are in bad shape now. I mean, the studies are starting to show our immune systems are depleted. We don't have we can't even fight off regular bacteria because we've been kind of locked up and quarantined ourselves. And do you see this as a health epidemic right now, or is this just a concern that we have to look at?
Well, it definitely didn't help that gyms were shut down as one of the first things in this, pandemic situation. I mean, in many states, certainly here in the U.S. and here in New Mexico, gyms were considered non-essential. Right. And gyms should be the front line for essential businesses. If there were anything like this to ever happen again, you should never shut down a gym. I don't care. It's like, it doesn't matter how deadly a virus you think is. Gyms are what keep people sane, keep people healthy, keep people moving, right? And if you look at the statistics in most gyms, any gyms that track their statistics, whether their members were diagnosed with COVID or not, right? Majority of the gyms actually had the fewest deaths correlated, and many of them had 0 deaths correlated. Right. Why is that? Because people who go to gyms tend to live healthier lifestyles, right? People who go and work out exercise on a regular basis tend to try to eat healthier. They tend to try to sleep healthier. They tend to try to, maybe do breath practices or maybe some meditation. They tend to want to, you go to the gym because you want to take care of yourself. You want to feel better. And in some cases, you want to look better, right? Looking better works for some people. It doesn't work for most people. What gets people committed and addicted and continuing to go, and I say addiction in a healthy way, healthy addiction, is you feel good. And when you feel good, you want to keep doing it, right? And so that's, I was reaching out to CrossFit headquarters because I do CrossFit, I do weightlifting, I do swimming and cycling and running. And I do, I do Qigong and yoga. I love to be active, right? We do a lot of hiking around here with my family, mountain biking. And, I was reaching out to CrossFit headquarters saying, look, why aren't you guys doing more for the front lines of the gyms? These gyms are getting shut down across the country, and these should be the ones staying open. How can McDonald's and Walmart be open, which is selling poison to people, right? Sure. They were selling out of toilet paper. That's an essential good. We figured that out real quick, right? But they also are selling poisonous food to people. Those are essential and gyms are not essential. It just blew my mind. And it goes to tell you the people who are making decisions in this country and around the world clearly need to be attending this summit right now, attending this event and understanding this information, because all the science tells us. If you want to prevent cancer, if you want to prevent heart disease, if you want to prevent neurodegenerative disease, if you want to prevent just about every disease that we're seeing skyrocket in our current society, one of the core facets you must have a part of your arsenal 5 to 6 days a week is an exercise program, right? And something I call medicinal movement, right? There's 4 factors that fit under that. We might talk a little bit about that, but it is well known, well studied, well understood in the literature that more healthy forms of exercise and medicinal movement, even walking a few miles every day, extends lifespan, right? If you go and look at some of the longest lived communities around the world, they don't go to gyms. The people live 80, 90, 100 years old, but what do? They're outside gardening. They're carrying water and they're carrying rocks. They're walking 5 miles to town to, pick up a few things and walking 5 miles back. They're walking out in the fields as shepherds with their sheep. They're walking, 5, 6, 10 miles a day, just moving the body alone and doing it in nature as often as possible is critical to your well-being. I don't want to turn people away from gyms. I have a home gym. I have 2 gym memberships in town. I love gyms, but there is something to be said. A lot of people, don't want to talk about this, is that you don't even have to have a gym membership. You don't ever have to go to a gym, and you can be incredibly healthy, moving your body, preventing diseases like cancer and basically every other disease out there, and helping your body to heal from these diseases just by getting out and doing movement outside every single day. Whether it's yoga, it's walking, it's hiking, it's cycling, it's gardening, but something that's moving your body, engaging you. It does a lot of things, right? It flushes your lymphatic system. Your lymphatic system is an essential part of your immune system. Your immune system is essential in getting rid of cancer. So remember I said earlier, people think we catch cancer. We have this subconscious programming. You got cancer, right? It's like you got it. The reality is, and we need to break that misnomer right there, is that you don't get cancer, you make cancer. Your body makes cancer every single day. Why? Because of DNA damage from chemicals, DNA damage from stress, DNA damage from pollutants and toxicants, and DNA damage from the VOCs coming off your carpet and your walls, and the fluoride and the water, and the pesticides and the conventional food, DNA damage from carcinogens and cooked meat and processed meat, right? These are carcinogenic. We know that they cause cancer. All that DNA damage is breaking down, the cells. They turn into they go into a chronic fermentative state, and they basically over time become cancerous. Well, our bodies, whoever designed us, had this really intelligent, design within us that said, well, things are going to break down. So when they break down, let's have a backup system in place that rebuilds. And that's one of the things your immune system does, and your lymphatic system. It basically takes these cancer cells, creates white blood cells and NK killer cells and T lymphocytes, and they go and find the cancer cells. They destroy them, they kill them, they gobble them up, and they remove them through your body. They remove them through your lymphatic system, right? And so it's like, okay, everybody's got cancer cells in your body every single day. We know that. Even if you don't have a cancer diagnosis right now, you have cancer cells in your body. If you're eating clean and you're exercising and you're doing a lot of things we can talk about here, right? Your body's immune system is functioning properly, you won't have a cancer diagnosis because it's doing what it's supposed to, getting rid of those cancer cells and regenerating new cells. And those new cells are going to be regenerative based upon what you're putting on your body and in your body. There's a huge takeaway here. I encourage everyone to write this down right now. What you put on your body and in your body becomes your body. What you put on your body and in your body becomes your body. That's lotions, skin creams, deodorants, sprays, whatever. That's food, water, air, anything going in or on. That is what's feeding your cells. It's either giving them enough of what they need, amino acids, phytonutrients, vitamins, minerals, or it's giving them too much of what they don't need. Toxins, pollutants, DNA damagers, free radicals, right? Things like that. Oh, okay. So how do we reduce our cancer risk? How do we help our bodies to reverse cancer? Reduce and eliminate the things we don't need and increase and improve the things we do need. Sounds pretty simple because it is.
Yeah, it really is.
Everything in nature, when you get to the core foundation of it, is simple. So I want to go back to your question because I went way off track there. And then I'd love for you to ask any other questions you have was, do we see, because of the lockdowns, causing things to be worse for people? Yes, absolutely. Why? Because people weren't able to go to the gyms and they couldn't go to the gym. So they thought, well, I'll just sit at home instead of I'm going to go hiking and biking and swimming and go outside and be in my gardens. Why? Because the media pumped us full of fear. Right. So now you have a parasympathetic response, right? Because you're in fear, you have anxiety, when you're in parasympathetic, your immune system is downregulated, so it's not getting rid of cancer cells. So you're in fear and you're not moving, and you're probably stressed out, so you're stress eating, right? And so now you're living basically a really unhealthy lifestyle, and you think, I can't go to my gym, so I can't exercise at all. So you kind of just let everything go. And I saw this when they opened up the gyms and people were coming back. I saw people, 20, 30 pounds heavier. I saw people whose faces were just like depressed, like just didn't look good or look healthy. I saw people who, came for a week and never came back, right? I never stopped moving my body. I never stopped working out once during the entire time we were shut down in New Mexico for over a year. They had gyms closed for like a year. I never stopped moving my body because I know how important it is, right? I know how important it is. So, there's a worsening of disease that has happened, that we will see an explosion of disease, not only mental, emotional disease, but physical disease because of these lockdowns. And we better learn from them. This thing comes again, these lockdowns come again, and not allow ourselves to be, let ourselves go because, it doesn't help anybody.
Yeah, and it is a simple formula. I mean, fitness is nutrition, exercise, and mindset. If you remove one of the three of them, you're really not fit. Like, you could work out all you want, but then go to the kitchen and out eat your workout, so nutrition is just as important as fitness. And then mindset. Like, if you have the wrong mindset, you'll stop going to the gym. You'll get depressed. You'll get discouraged. You'll be down on yourself. And that'll undo everything that you were trying to do in the first place. And the whole thing about I Choose Fitness is make the declaration, make the commitment to yourself. So my question to you, Nathan, you never stopped working. You kept fitness at the top priority. Now I kind of understand why, but if you had to answer that question, I choose fitness, why? What's your answer? What keeps you going?
Life, vitality, joy, happiness, So I have a few goals, and I think this is huge. People could take away from this today is one thing that keeps me going to the gym, that keeps me active, that keeps me, I wake up just like everybody else, sore, tired, not wanting to work out that day. I like many other people out there, I'm working crazy hours. I have a family, I have 2 children, my wife. So, I have multiple businesses running. So some days I'm working 8 to 10 hours. I'm trying to spend time throughout the day with my kids and my wife, going to the park and doing things with them. And then I'm still got to get my 2 hours in at the gym, so it's like, okay, I have the same amount of time as anybody else out there. We all have 24 hours in a day. And it becomes critical to look at, how do I maximize my time to help me achieve my goals? And if you don't have a goal that is strong enough and big enough and powerful enough to pull you through those hard times, to help you make it a priority, then you'll skip it. You know what? I'm too busy today. I'm too tired. I need to do this. I need to do that. Right. You'll skip it. I don't want to drive 15 minutes to the gym. I don't want to. So and then the second day comes and now you're tired again, or you're upset, or you got in a fight and I don't feel good. I don't want to go. And then 2 weeks goes by and you're like, God, I feel horrible. I need to go to the gym. And 2 weeks went by and you kind of, now you got to kind of start over again. Right. And the first few days working out, like, you don't feel great, so what's helped me so much is big long-term goals. I have goals when I'm 80, 90, 100 years old. Hopefully I live that long. Who knows? But my goal is to be hiking and exercising and in good health and condition with little to no pain with my grandchildren, even hopefully great grandchildren, right? I want to be in the mountains hiking and backpacking. I want to be an active grandfather and great grandfather. That's my big long-term goal. So I've got that one that's always in the back of my mind, that I'm talking about it with my kids. I talk about it with my wife from time to time. I visualize it. I feel it. I'm like, and then I see people in their 70s, 80s, 90s who are living that way. And I stop and talk to them and say, how do you live? And, what's your life like? What's your routines like? And how do you feel? And, how this is amazing. You're 80 years old. You're active. You're working out. You're cycling. And so I stop. And so we know through the power of the mind, right? We know everybody here has probably heard of the law of attraction, right? I started studying the law of attraction, 13, 14 years ago. There's even deeper studies now through the biology of belief and epigenetics, and it can take us deeper into the law of attraction. But the basics of it is, the more you think about something, the more you set your intention on something, the more you visualize something, the more you bring emotion into it, right? The more of that you're going to attract into your life. And it's so true. And it's so true for me. And it's so true for so many people I know. I know people who all they see on the road is bad drivers, horrible drivers. They always cut them off. I live in the town that's the worst drivers. Okay, they moved from Vista to Santa Fe. Santa Fe has the worst drivers in the world. They always cut me off. They always, they're the worst drivers. Okay, they moved from Santa Fe to San Diego. San Diego has the worst drivers in the world, right? Why? Because that's what their subconscious mind is always paying attention to. And then they put energy into that. Yep. It's so funny. I've lived here in Santa Fe and I have family members. They're like, this is the worst drivers. So I've been here for 6 years. And they're like, this is the worst drivers ever. And this is a real story that I'm sharing, right? I have seen one bad driver in 6 years here. Why? Because I don't focus my attention on that. Those kinds of things, I'm not looking for things to complain about. I'm not looking for the negative in things. I program my mind to look for the positive in life, the positive things as often as possible. Are there bad drivers? Of course there's bad drivers. Right. Do I see them every day and complain about them and put energy on them? No, I just don't. Right. And so that's true for money in your life. That's true for relationships in your life. That's why you can be in a relationship and, it's like, it's the worst relationship ever. The relationship ends. 6 months later, you're in a new relationship that seems like it's a magical golden relationship. And 6 months into it, it's the exact same behavior and things that you hated about the previous relationship. Yep. Why? Because you are still focusing on those things. It's your energy, your attention, your thoughts that are literally attracting that to you. So what do? We change our thoughts. We change our attention. We change our energy and our focus, right? And so when we do that, we start to focus on the things that we want. You become what I call and what I teach people a solution oriented mindset. You start to have a solution focused mindset. And what that means is you're faced with a cancer diagnosis. You're faced with a pandemic lockdown. You're faced with whatever it could be, losing your house, God forbid, losing a loved one, whatever it could be. And sure, it's normal to go through some grieving or go through some, a little bit of depression around it. One of my best friends growing up in Montana, I just found out a couple of weeks ago, he just passed away from a drug overdose. And it hit me pretty hard, because I was able to pull myself out of that lifestyle, out of homelessness, out of addiction, out of, a very unhealthy lifestyle. And I felt in the time, I felt a little guilty, just very sad that he passed. I was feeling really sad for his daughter who was, I was like, what's going to happen with his daughter? And then I was feeling guilty as well. There's a whole range of emotions, guilty that I wasn't able to do more for him, And so it's normal to feel that. I allowed myself to feel it. I allowed it to become, to go through me. But pretty quickly, within a few hours, I was focusing on solutions. I thought, what can I do? So I called his sister called me. I talked to her. I was able to donate some money their way, right? Okay, that helps them. I found out that she's going to be taking care of his daughter and she's doing really good. Great, that helps that. I planted a tree in his name. I put out some messages of hope and inspiration. And then I thought about, my own self. What can I do to help people who are struggling in the future? So all of this is going from poor me to what can I do to be of service, to help others? You get out of your own poor me into contributing to others. Now, it doesn't mean don't respect and honor what you're going through. Right. It means don't just sit in that, in that kind of poor me pity mindset for too long, right? You need to pull yourself out of it. And how you do it? You do it by focusing on solutions. If you have cancer, you want to prevent cancer, what do? You focus on solutions. What are the foods, the best anti-cancer foods, right? Well, we know mushrooms are incredibly anti-cancer. We know that green cruciferous vegetables are incredibly anti-cancer. We know that berries, blueberries and blackberries and raspberries and strawberries, incredibly anti-cancer. We know that a lot of fruits are anti-cancer, especially the fiber helps to clean out your digestive system, right? We know that onions and garlic and turmeric are really anti-cancer. Okay, so where are the anti-cancer foods? Let's start adding more of those in. What are the anti-cancer things I can do with my body, with my mind? We know that meditation stimulates a parasympathetic response. I think I used the term, let me correct right there. When I was talking earlier about 15, 20 minutes ago, I was saying that the fear creates a parasympathetic response. That was inaccurate. I meant sympathetic. Let me correct this really quick. Sympathetic means fight or flight, right? That's fight or flight or freeze. When you're in fear, you're anxious, you're stressed out. Sympathetic response means your immune system gets downregulated, your adrenal system gets upregulated, and that means your immune system's not working anymore. It's basically turning off or turning way down. Right. If you have cancer, you want to prevent cancer, you need your immune system activated as often as possible. And so what you want to be in is parasympathetic, right? Para, beyond sympathy, beyond sympathetic. And parasympathetic are things like meditation, qigong, yoga, deep breathing, exercise. Exercise can put you, high intensity exercise can activate some parasympathetic. Activate some sympathetic. But then on the other side of that, you get this huge parasympathetic response. That's why you feel so good once you're done with the exercise, right? Especially high intensity, you feel so good because you just released dopamine and serotonin. Your body goes into a healing state. You're just calm and relaxed and very clear-minded, right? So to prevent and reverse these kinds of diseases, you need to be in a parasympathetic state as often as possible. And there are a lot of things that can help you do that, as I just mentioned. But to kind of wrap up this thought right here, because we're talking a little bit about mindset, right? Everything with health and fitness and life, for that matter, comes down to what's right here between our ears. Everything starts there. You can't start a new healthy diet unless you believe you can, unless you have a big enough reason for you to stick with it. That's why I said you got to have these big goals. I have a big long-term goal as I shared as a healthy grandpa or healthy great grandpa, but I also have fitness goals. I have competitive goals as an athlete. So I have more short-term things that I'm working to that keep me going to the gym, that keep me taking care of my health. I also know what it's like to be sick, and I don't want to be sick. So I've got this kind of negative motivator back here that's like, yeah, we don't want that. But then I have these big positive motivators that are pulling me forward. And when you can get really clear about that in your mind, what it is that you really want in your life, and how fitness and health and exercise and diet can fit into that and drive you forward in that direction. Negative motivators are helpful. Positive motivators are even more helpful. Better if you have more than one, but the bigger, the better. They become giant magnets that pull you forward towards that so you can go through those tough times, right? And that's all right here in your mind. You've got to get that right.
That was incredible the way you described it, because we've been interviewing experts from all different, the medical field, the food field, nutrition, gym fields, health and wellness, and they all have their different take on this, but nobody has explained how mindset fits and interweaves between it all the way you just did. Like, you really laid it out there. Without the right mindset, everything else is going to get undone anyway. You got to have that motivating factor, and you don't need a million reasons why. You just need one reason why. And then you can support it with other reasons like, well, I don't want that. I know one of the last interviews we did with Tom Plummer, he said, I focus on the last 10 years of my life, not the next 10 years of my life. Like, what do you want the last 10 years of your life to look at? And that, to me, was mind-blowing. Like, yes, we always focus on long-term goals. I'd like to achieve all these things short-term. But what are the last 10 years of your life? Because we all see people who didn't plan for the last 10, and it's not a pleasant sight. They're in pain every day. They got a countertop full of medications and pills. The medical industry just tries to help them get by easier. Well, let's give you another pill. Let's get rid of some inflammation. Let's give you this pill for the pain. Let's give you this pill. What's your take on that? Like, what went wrong with the medical institutions and some of the doctors that are out there?
Well, you just brought up something really incredible. I think everybody should know something that I remember. There's a number of studies that have been done on aging over the years. And I've seen a couple of these studies. And one of them that's really fascinating, to your point that you just mentioned, is those people who have a positive mindset about aging, meaning when they look at two different groups, group A, where the people believe, all these sayings that I know we've all heard. It's like, oh, I'm too old for that, or I'm getting too old for this, right? Yeah. Those limiting beliefs about aging. The beliefs that, oh yeah, as you get sick, as you get older, it's common to get weaker. It's common to get sick, right? It's just part of aging. Aging is getting sick, getting weaker, losing vitality. These negative beliefs around aging are literally what's causing your aging. Now, don't get me wrong. I know we all are, someday going to die, right? Hopefully we live a full, vital, healthy life. Unfortunately, that's not the truth for many people today, but it can be our truth. And that's the beauty, right? Is when they look at these studies of people who have a negative mindset around aging, negative beliefs versus positive beliefs around aging. They were looking at the brain scans, and they saw that people who were in their second half of life, later in life, let's say 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, who had a positive belief around aging that said, aging is like fine wine. It gets better as I age, right? Like those kinds of beliefs, those kinds of sayings that they would say to themselves that, the best years are yet to come. My best years are still yet to come. I still have more to look forward to. I'm not done yet, right? Those people, when they just look at the brain scans alone, they had the brains of a healthy 30 and 40-year-old person.
Wow.
And they're in their 70s and 80s. Amazing, right? They look at the people who have a negative mindset around aging, and their brains were not only equivalent to their considered age, but many of them even worse. And they had plaque buildup, and starting to see, onset early Alzheimer's and some neurodegenerative disease starting to set in, these kinds of things. Literally, your beliefs impact your biology. If you don't believe that, get the book Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton, right? Incredible cell biologist, good friend and colleague of mine. And in there, you will learn all the science behind literally how your beliefs become your biology. This study is just one among many hundreds of studies. So having a positive outlook on aging is critical, right? And here's another great example. So CrossFit, anybody who knows CrossFit, some people have a negative belief around CrossFit because they heard it, they saw it, or they tried it once or a few times and thought, oh my God, this is too intense, it's too crazy, it's too hard, this is crazy, it's not for me, I can't do it. So they form a negative belief probably too quickly, too immaturely. And then those who have a positive belief around it. So there are people who are in their 50s and 60s and 70s who compete in CrossFit, who are fitter and stronger than I am in my 30s. And they are fitter and stronger in their 60s than they were in their 30s and 40s. And they keep getting fitter and stronger every year. So we have this belief, and they're doing it naturally. Many of them are doing it naturally. We have this belief that as you age, your testosterone lowers, you become weaker, your bones get more brittle, right? And these people are actually seeing the opposite. As they age, their bones are getting stronger. They're increasing more testosterone. Their body's producing natural amounts of HGH. They don't have to take all this pharmaceutical crap for their bodies. They're doing it naturally. Why? Because they're using their bodies in the way they were meant to be used. Our bodies are these incredible adaptive machines, right? And so whatever we put it through, it adapts to. If you put it through sitting at the table every morning, sitting in your car, driving to work, at work, sitting at work all day, going back home, sitting at your table, eating dinner, and then sitting in your couch or your chair, watching TV, and then laying in your bed. How many hours a day do you think you're actually moving and using your body? And what do you think your body's adapting to? You feel like you're busy. You feel like you're doing a lot. But if you actually measure, majority of people who feel like they're busy and doing a lot are actually very sedentary, right? Even you go to the gym, you sit for, 15 hours a day, and then you sleep, you lay down for 8 hours a day. Okay, I'm off on my math there. You sit for 12 hours a day, you lay down for 8 hours a day. The rest of the time you might walk to the bathroom and then sit, and then walk to the car and then sit, and then walk here and then sit. And then you go and move your body 30 minutes a day or 1 hour a day. That movement is better than no movement. But here's the critical takeaway. You're still pretty sedentary. If you think about it, majority of your life is sitting or laying down. And when you start to realize this, you go, you start doing what I do. When I'm working throughout the day, one, I have a standing desk. I got rid of my chair. So I'm constantly, you can see me, I'm constantly moving my body just standing here. Two, every hour to 2 hours, I go out to my living room and I jump up and down for a couple of minutes on a little rebounder, little trampoline, flush the lymphatic system, get the body moving, right? I'll do little stretches throughout the day. I'll do little 2 or 3 minute Qigong sessions where I'm just doing little energy practice and little meditation. And I'll do that 4 or 5 times a day, right? And so I'm constantly standing, moving, walking, jumping, and then I go to the gym for 2 hours. So I used to be the opposite. I used to sit in a chair for 12 hours a day and it screwed up my body, and no wonder I had so many problems when I started CrossFit initially, because I lost mobility and range of motion and flexibility. And it took me time to gain all that back. It took me a lot of work, a lot of hard work, to be honest, and time. But my point being is that if your body is so adaptable and so is your mind, it's so malleable, right? That whatever circumstances you put it through on an ongoing basis is what it's going to adapt to. So what do you want your body to become as you age? As you're 50, 60, 70, 80, 90? Do you want to be weak and brittle and sick, right? Or do you want to be healthy and vital and strong? Because those literally are your choices and your options. And so kind of, there's a long way to come back to your question, but I thought it was important for people to understand that positive outlook on aging is what's kind of gone wrong with our medical system. Well, unfortunately, our medical system was really co-opted by the pharmaceutical industry. and it's been primarily influenced by profit and control. And when things are influenced by profit and control, what happens is profit becomes more important than people. And when profit is more important than people, you don't get what you really need. You get what is convenient for the corporations to give you to maximize their profit, right? And so because the medical industry is co-opted by the pharmaceutical industry, what happens is they influence the medical literature. They influence the textbooks, and they influence what the medical doctors are going to give you, right? What kind of prescriptions they're going to give you. If you have a doctor that you go to that prescribes you exercise, that prescribes you green juice, that prescribes you, plant-based diet, that prescribes you, meditation, that prescribes you, I already said exercise, some kind of fitness routine. If your doctor is prescribing you those things, right, you've got a really good doctor. Keep them.
Yes. Let me interject. Why do you think that's so rare? Why do they look at that kind of plant-based diet and that's radical? That's not acceptable.
Because they don't learn it in medical school. So when I've interviewed many medical doctors, yeah, and almost all of them never learned more than 4 hours of nutrition in all their years of school. Wow. Right? I never went to medical school. I'm not a doctor. I have 15 years in the health field, and I have thousands of hours of research and training and learning in nutrition and diet and holistic lifestyle, as well as experimentation. And I still don't know it all, right? I know the principles, the foundations. I can help most people get from where they are to closer or to where they want to be, but they have 4 hours. So when they go to medical school, most doctors are really well-intentioned. They want to help people. They want to save lives, right? And so they go into medical school, and what they're taught in medical school is they're taught pharmacology, how to prescribe pharmaceutical drugs. They're taught surgery if they go into any kind of surgery field. And they're taught, for oncologists, for example, for cancer, they're taught chemotherapy and radiation. And that's it. They're not taught diet. They're not taught lifestyle. They're not taught meditation. They're not taught nutrition. So they don't know these things. So they go in with this idea, I want to save people, I want to save lives. And all they're taught in medical school is, here's the drugs. Here's how the biology works with the drugs. Here's how we do surgery to get rid of these things, because these things are invaders. They look at cancer or disease as an invader trying to attack you and take you over, when cancer is actually your best friend trying to keep you alive. That's what it is. It's a healthy cell that's turned unhealthy, that's still trying to stay alive. It's like hanging on the edge of a cliff. It's this little weak cell that's like, keep me alive, I don't want to die, right? So it goes from producing, tons of ATP to producing 2 ATP. It's very inefficient. Starts to thrive on glucose, so it needs a lot of sugar to thrive, for example. It thrives in an anaerobic environment, so it needs less oxygen, which is perfect for our lifestyles today. People who aren't exercising, who are eating toxic food, who are eating acidic food, who have acidic thoughts and stress, that's a perfect environment for cancer to thrive, right? And so they're not taught any of this. They're taught cancer's an invader, that you got to get rid of it, you got to burn it, cut it out, which for most people, actually, chemotherapy only has a 2.3% success rate. Oh, it's really? One of the most prescribed. Yeah, there was a massive study done between Australia and the USA on 160,000 people. And they looked at chemotherapy on 22 major adult cancers. And they found that across the board, chemotherapy only had a 2.1% and a 2.5 or 2.3% success rate in the USA and Australia, 160,000 people. Wow. Some of the cancers they looked at had a 0% success rate, and some of them had a 50% success rate, like testicular cancer. When you add them all up, it was 2.3% success rate, wow, which means a 97.7% failure rate. And that's one of our most prescribed treatment protocols today. And the problem is, when you use chemotherapy, what you're doing is poisoning the body. When you use radiation, you're poisoning the body, right? And these things could be helpful in small doses from time to time if you're doing everything else. If you're doing the exercise, the meditation, you're activating parasympathetic response, you're doing saunas, you're doing getting your mind right, eating a highly nutritious, plant-based, highly nutrient-dense, diverse diet, you're exercising regularly, you're doing all those things right, they can, even fasting has shown, there's studies that shown that if you water fast for 24, 48 hours leading up to chemotherapy, water fast after chemotherapy, you actually make the chemotherapy substantially more effective and less damaging to your body. Why? Because you're getting all the poisons and toxins and crap out of your body that you've been putting in, right? So there are things you can do integratively, which is why I, created my documentary film, Cancer, the Integrative Perspective, was to look at what does all the medicine teach us about cancer, preventing or reversing cancer, whether it's indigenous medicine, it's ancient medicine, it's energy medicine, it's natural medicine, or it's a modern medicine, conventional. It's our leading edge therapies, an integrative approach. Let's look at what's working and let's use it, and let's get rid of what's not working, right? And there's a lot of things in conventional medicine that are not working, but they don't get rid of it because it's too profitable. And so these medical doctors don't know this. They're not taught it. They think they're just doing the best they can with what they have. And they keep on going and they get a big fat paycheck for it. They're not trying to kill anybody. They're not trying to harm anybody. They have good intentions, most of them. But the ones who I find, the ones who I interview, the ones who I've come to know over the years, they started as medical doctors. They realized that what they were doing was not really helping people heal from disease, and they wanted to help people heal. And so they went down the path of discovering natural medicine. They went down the path of nutrition, of diet, of lifestyle. And then they became what we call integrative doctors or holistic doctors, right? And many of them started as medical doctors, and they keep their medical license because they, you can still do some good things with that. But primarily, they're focused on diet and lifestyle, exercise and mindset, right? Which we know are many of the core causes of cancer and the solutions for cancer. And they're getting way, 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 way better results implementing holistic and integrative medicine than they ever did implementing conventional medicine. And I've come to know dozens of these incredible doctors around the world, from Germany to Mexico, all over the United States, right? From Spain, all over the world, these doctors are becoming more and more. So the information is getting out there. We've reached millions of people around the world with this kind of information, but there's billions of us. So we all need to do our part to learn, to share, to get this out to as many people as possible, because once you know what causes cancer and what you can do to prevent it, you can't unknow it. And now you can be more empowered to help yourself.
Sorry to cut you off, Nathan. Let me drill down on that for a second, though, because in your documentary, you point this out, and I never knew this, but cancer is in all our bodies, you're saying. We are the creators of that cancer. But you said there's 6 sources. There's 6 ways that we can create, they contribute to the creation of cancer. One of them was inflation. You said sugar, toxins, stress, diet, and lifestyle. Those are the only 6 contributors for us to create cancer, right?
Well, those are the 6 categories, absolutely. And within those 6 categories, you can break it down into many different facets, but those 6 help us to understand much more clearly what is literally creating cancer in the body, right? And so, we need in the documentary, we go into a lot more depth on all of these. In my masterclass, Becoming Cancer-Free Masterclass, I spend 9 modules going into depth on these and how to find those toxins that are hiding in your home and your body and your skincare and all those things and get rid of them, how to reduce and eliminate the things that are causing cancer, and then the best anti-cancer lifestyle approaches, the things that you can do every single day to help your body prevent and reverse cancer. But let's just, we've been talking a lot about mindset, and we know that your beliefs literally can contribute to disease in the body, or it can help your body to get rid of that disease. And it's true for cancer as well. So here's one example, and maybe we'll share another one. When you're when you're stressed, when you're anxious, when you're in fear, your body is releasing hormones, releasing chemicals into the bloodstream, telling your body that there's danger, right? And there may not be danger. You may not be in real danger, but your body doesn't know the difference. So you wake up in the morning, you turn on the news, and the news says, 8 million more people killed by COVID this morning, right? We see the ticker every single day, every single day, every single day. And actually they stopped focusing on deaths and they just started focusing on cases, because the deaths went way down, but the cases is what kept people in fear. The media knows how to manipulate you, right? They know that if they keep you in fear, you're going to keep watching, because there's an addiction to it. Because even though it makes you feel bad, there's something about it that makes you feel good. And the part that makes you feel good is that part that's meant to save your life. If you're about to get in a car wreck and boom, you instantly enter that state that we call, in sports, for example, we call the zone, right? It's like, boom, everything's turned up. Your adrenaline's turned up. Your body releases epinephrine. You get super amped up. You have superhuman powers, mental, emotional, physical, human powers. And I've literally been in this situation where we're about to get in a car wreck, boom, entered the zone, body's releasing all these neurochemicals, for example. And I grabbed the steering wheel from the passenger seat and the e-brake and basically saved our life. I had no idea what I was doing consciously. It all just happened on autopilot. Yep. Same thing as an athlete, right? Well, what happens is that's meant to be used sparingly. It's meant to be used literally to save our lives at most points, right? The old example of a saber-toothed tiger that's chasing you, right? Or nowadays it might be a dog chasing you. Your body, all the blood leaves your organs, goes to your extremities, so you can run and you can, you have more power, more strength, you can save your life. Well, guess what? When you're watching the news, when you're in fear, when you're anxious, when you're stressed out, the same thing's happening. But the problem is it's this low grade, chronic, systemic problem that happens. And when that's happening, your body is in a low grade fight or flight response. And you don't want to be there very often. You don't want to be there very often because it's contributing to disease in your body. That's one of the things that is causing damage, is causing inflammation. Inflammation is one of the core causes of cancer. We know that chronic inflammation literally causes cancer. And then toxins cause inflammation, stress causes inflammation, too much of these chemicals in the bloodstream consistently cause inflammation. Heavily fatty foods and cooked meats, there's a lot of things that cause inflammation, right? But your thoughts, literally, if you can take a big deep breath, 6 seconds in, 6 seconds out through your nose, just focus on 6 seconds in, 6 seconds out through your nose. And you do that multiple times a day, you'll calm your system down. You'll stop releasing cortisol and you'll start releasing other neurochemicals that will actually stimulate an immune response, right? And so literally, that's why you say your thoughts can cause cancer or can get rid of cancer, because an immune response is getting rid of cancer. So your thoughts are calming down. Great science has been done by heart math. You literally can put your hand on your heart, take some big deep breaths, think thoughts of gratitude, compassion, love. Just think of something you're grateful for. You do this for about a minute. It can measure your heart coherence, and they can measure, actually have a device that measures this. And I can get into heart coherence in less than 30 seconds. And I've tested it many times. And what heart coherence is basically your heart rate variability. A lot of people in exercise understand the higher heart rate variability, not higher heart rate variability means your body's way better equipped to heal, to rest, to digest. Deep breathing, thoughts of gratitude, putting your hand on your heart, qigong, meditation, these things help create higher heart rate variability, which leads to healing, resting, digesting, which leads to your body getting rid of cancer because the immune system is kicked on, right? So we can't talk enough about this. It's such an important part of anybody's healing protocol. Now, yes, There are great ways you can tie this into your fitness routine as well. So every day before I work out, I do a couple of minutes. It's like a little meditation, qigong, do the breathing, do a little energy practice. I calm myself, and I get centered in that space of gratitude. I know I've activated a parasympathetic response. I've activated a better baseline of heart rate variability. And then I work out. And then when I'm done working out, I do the same thing. Again, I calm myself down. I get back into that centered, calm space. And what happens is, as you practice these things over time, you start to sleep better. And sleep is your best friend for preventing and reversing cancer. It's your best opportunity to heal, right? And regenerate. You think better. You have more energy. You don't have to turn to 5 cups of caffeine and massive pre-workouts anymore. It's like you just have more energy. You're more vital because your body is in a much more coherent, healthy, regenerative state, right? So I'd love to get into more of the causes and solutions, but I think not to overload people, right? I think this is enough. If you could take away anything for today, it is realize the power of your mind when it comes to helping your body prevent and reverse diseases. Focus on practices, gratitude practices, qigong practices, or meditation practice every single day to calm your nervous system, get your body into a rest and digest and healing state. And you can even do what I do is I do little snippets 5 or 6 times a day of 2 or 3 minutes at a time. So throughout the day, I'm constantly getting back into that parasympathetic nervous state, right? And then 3 is start practicing being solution oriented with your mindset. So whenever you're seeing problems, you're seeing bad drivers, you're seeing, people at work that you hate, whatever it is, start focusing on the opposite of that and start asking questions of, well, what can I do to improve this situation? Or look at that great driver right there. You wave at him. You're a good driver. You start putting your attention. People think things are silly, but it's not. Where energy, where attention goes, energy flows, right? We've all heard that. Literally, where your attention is going, your energy is going there, your focus is going there, and then that's what you're starting to create more of in your life. And that is so critical if you want to live long and healthy and happy.
That's awesome. Yeah, I had no idea, Nathan, that this was going to become the mindset. Like this, the whole theme right here was all about mindset.
I didn't either. I had no idea either. But these things go where they want to go sometimes.
Yeah, and it's what makes everything work, though. I mean, it's just so critical. I'm so glad that it took that turn too, because we tend to spend too much time thinking that exercise is more important than nutrition, or nutrition is more important than exercise. Oh, and then let me add some mindset. Mindset runs throughout everything. It starts with the first thought of the day and the last thought of the day, and everything else in between. So let me ask you a question. We got people from all over the world watching this. What would the world be like if everybody that was watching this now made their personal health a priority? How would that change?
Oh my gosh, what a great question. I think everybody can kind of have a vision for what that might look like for them, but certainly we'd have a lot happier people, right?
Oh, yeah.
We'd have a lot less stressed out people. We'd have a lot less people making really bad decisions. When you're unhealthy, you're stressed, you have low energy, you don't feel good, you're sick, you tend to make poor decisions, and when you're healthy and you're vital and you feel good, you at least are in a state of gratitude, you have energy, you make better decisions for your health, for your life, and for others. Health, actually, what's really interesting is like my journey started with spirituality, and that really led me to physical health, and physical health led me to sustainability, and sustainability deepened everything in my experience with physical and mental and emotional and spiritual health. So you start to think different for the planet, for the animals. You start to think about, what kind of future do I want for my children? What kind of planet do I want to leave for my children, and for their children and their children? You start to think about future generations. And, as the indigenous, I spent a lot of time with Native Americans and indigenous tribes here in North America. And, there's a practice where you think about the next 7 generations, and you think about how everything I do today is going to impact the next 7 generations. And it starts making you get out of, oh, I want this little plastic thing right now because it's convenient, versus, well, what if I make a better decision, a decision that is going to impact the future of my great grandchildren, right? Because everything we do in this moment is literally going to impact everything that comes after us, and everybody and every plant and every animal. And we are definitely, it's another conversation where we are completely destroying the planet right now. We better make a quick U-turn in a good direction, or we may not have a planet, or certainly not a species in 20 or 30 years from now. So if everybody's living healthy, meditating, eating healthier, organic, more natural, more whole food, more plant-based, right? Taking care of your fitness, taking care of your mind, your body, your spirit. Well, guess what? We're going to have a beautiful, it may not be utopian. We're still going to have problems. We're still going to have our challenges. We're not going to be perfect, but I really believe we'd have less war or no war, because people would be more intelligent, right? Realize, oh, we don't need to kill each other over land or over ideologies. I think obviously all the healthcare costs would go substantially down, right? Pharmaceutical companies would go away, or they'd focus their money and energy and intentions on something else that can actually help people, right? Doctors would transition into more holistic practices, preventative practices, more fulfilling practices, where they actually see people getting healthier and better instead of seeing them get worse. And so they'd be more fulfilled. People would be more fulfilled because they feel better. And the children would have, a beautiful planet and a future to look forward to. So, it's everything. Health, I look at health as this whole wheel, this wheel of mind, body, emotions, spirit, environment, and relationships, right? And this wheel of health, if we're working on all these aspects, then your life is going to be so much more fulfilling, and you're going to contribute to others and to the planet in a way that is more meaningful to you and to them. And that's where I still have hope that we can get there, because of events like this that you're doing, because of films like my documentary that are reaching so many people, because of so many great people out there that are doing so much great work and getting this kind of information out to the world, right? I think we're at that precipice where we better start taking these things a lot more seriously as a society, or else we may not have a society left in a few decades, right? So the time is now, and we can do it. And I believe we can do it. And it takes every single person here making a commitment to it, and then sharing that and passing it forward.
Yeah, I am so thankful that you made the one decision that you made that I'm really thankful for, is that you were going to join in on this summit here. Because I believe the ripple effect of what you just did for the last hour or so is going to go through all these different avenues that brought people together for this and make tremendous change. Because it really does start with the people watching this. That's where it starts. We're not going to change the medical professionals overnight, although they're making big changes on what's on the exam now, which changes what they teach in the school. So that'll take time. But if everybody watching says, I can do that, I can make some changes tomorrow, I could move more, eat better, and work on my mindset, like Nathan said, we're on our way. And that's all it takes. And then after a while, after 5 or 6 days, it becomes something that people enjoy, because they're starting to feel better and look better, and they can't wait to do it again and do more of it. Before you know, they go from walking down the street to CrossFit at 70 years old. So I'm just so thankful that you're here, and your message is incredible. And anyway, we're going to put we have the trailer on your page there too, so everyone will have access to that. We'll put the link right to the documentary. I think everybody should get their hands on that and watch that. Is there anything I forgot to ask you about the work that you're doing?
Bob, this has been great. Thank you for putting this together. Thank you for having me a part of it. I do encourage everyone to go watch that documentary, where you can go deeper. You can rent it for a few dollars online, or you can buy it for a few bucks, DVD. You can buy 5 of them, get a discount, give them out to friends and family. I really did that documentary as a labor of love, to learn more about, for myself and my family, after, what my grandfather went through, so that, we would never be in a place of that fear and disempowerment again. And when you watch it, you will be empowered, and you will be able to help others as well. And that's why it's, I'm so excited. It's won 20 awards now. It was a 5+ year labor of love, and I'm just happy that it's really getting out to the world and changing lives. And I encourage everyone, go watch it, because it will change your life for the better. So Bob, thank you so much for having me here, and thanks for putting this together. I really appreciate it.
Nathan, I appreciate your time so much, and your message is incredible. And I'm sure we have a lot more to do in the future together.
Awesome. Thank you.
You have a great day.
Take care. You too.